I'm really fascinated with this idea of free will coexisting simultaneously with God's plan. Like, how does that work? They seem mutually exclusive, but they aren't. So I'm reading Acts right now. I just finished the book of Acts, and we're at Acts 27. And just to give you some context on what's happening is Paul just underwent trial by the Jews in Jerusalem under Festus and the King Agrippa, and they're trying to condemn him to death. And so he appeals to Caesar because he says, "Hey, I've done nothing wrong. Give me to Caesar and let Caesar put me on trial." So they send him to Rome to appeal under Caesar. And so he's on the ship with a whole bunch of shipmates and the crew, and they're sailing to Rome, and they're hit by a huge storm. And Paul gets a message from an angel saying, "You guys will be okay amidst the storm, as long as none of you try to flee the ship. Don't escape, trust in me, and you will all be safe." And Paul tells this to the crew, but despite this warning, the crewmates, the sailors, try to flee the ship. They try to put down ships and they try to flee the ship on life rafts. And so Paul makes sure that this doesn't happen. Tells the captain, "Hey, don't let them flee the ship." They stop them from fleeing the ship, and then they're safe. They're delivered to the land, and they get on land. So this is kind of like, to me, the idea of free will versus God's plan. God's plan is embodied through Paul's vision or message from this angel, from the Holy Spirit, saying like, "Hey, trust in my plan and you guys will be safe." However, there's still the free will of the sailors to take the matters into their own hands and try to be responsible for their own safety. But it could have led to doom if it happened according to what the angel said. So I think it's kind of interesting because life is like a storm. And if you only depend on yourself and your own judgment, and you only lean on your own understanding, and you don't lean on anything else, and you just only trust in yourself and put everything on yourself, then you might likely be destroyed by the storm. However, if things are storming and raging against you, and you are able to put your faith in God, and God says, "Hey, trust in me, be faithful, and I will deliver you even in the storm to safety," then that might happen. So it's up to you, what you believe in, but I would rather choose to believe that even amidst the storm, that as long as I put my faith in God, that He will deliver me. And there's also, right, what was it? Lean not on your own understanding, but in all ways trust in the Lord, and He will make your path straight. And then there's also on Acts 28, verse 26, when Paul gets to Rome, and the Romans are like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" What does he do? Paul just starts preaching the gospel. And one thing that he said that the Holy Spirit compelled him to say to the Romans was this: "Go to the people and say, you will be ever hearing, but never understanding. You will be ever seeing, but never perceiving. For this people's heart has become calloused. They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes. Otherwise, they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and turn, and I would heal them." There's always this theme throughout the Bible of people hardening their hearts, right? When in Exodus, when the Jews fled Egypt, the Pharaoh told them that they could flee, allowed them to escape. But then what happened? His heart became hard, and he pursued the Jews, or the Israelites. And then many times Moses and God tried to appeal to the Pharaoh, but it said over and over, his heart became hard. His heart became hard. And what happened? It led to their doom, right? They followed the Israelites down to the Red Sea. The sea was parted, and then the waters fell upon them and led to their doom. So there's this idea of a hardening of your hearts. When your heart becomes callous, then you don't have the wisdom to know not to walk down that path, to walk down towards the Red Sea, and to know that the waters will fall upon you. You don't have the eyes to see, and you don't have the ears to hear. So I think it's important to not let your heart become callous, not become jaded or disillusioned, whether it's with life, whether it's with your faith, whether it's with your connection to God, or whatever you might connect, whatever you find works for you, whatever drives you, and whatever spiritual system that you have in place. But I think it's important not to become jaded, to not become hardened with your heart, to be kind, caring, open minded to other people. And that is what allows you to have wisdom that prevents you from damnation and doom. So don't allow your hearts to be callous, because then you will not know wisdom.